Okay, so moving on, what we'd like to do today and tomorrow is take a moment at the beginning, and as I said, we want to get Shariar going right away, but take a few moments at the beginning for anyone who would like to briefly share any insights, revelations, important takeaways, or anything they got from the day before. So since we're doing this now, we'll also include the panel that we just saw on the environment. So first, I'll ask for anyone who hasn't already spoken, who would like to share. And so I'll ask for those people to raise their hands first. We'll call on them, and then we'll move to everybody else. Again, this will only be for a sentence or two, definitely not longer than a minute. So if you haven't already spoken and would like to share any insights, revelations, important takeaways, please raise either your cyber hand or your flesh and blood hand at this time. And then, and you don't have to share. This is not a demand. It's just an open space for anyone who would like to. Then we'll go to the people who have already spoken, and then we'll move on to our intermission. So we have about 7 minutes. If anybody wants to say anything, now is the time. And I will move some things out of the way so I can see hands. So I'm first looking in the chat area and seeing none there right now. I will go
Not chat,
to
participants.
I'm
Not
sorry,
chat,
yes, the
don't say.
participant, not chat. Don't go to
Don't-
chat. Go to chat
Don't
if
go
you
to
want to
chat.
chat, but not raise your hand.
I
Up,
see
I do
Roger.
see a hand. So
Roger
let's go with
Cotella.
Soveda. Yes, I see a number of them. I'm looking in the participants area first. We'll start with Soveda. Again, keep it brief, a sentence or two, and then we'll move on and try to include as many people as we can. Soveda, why don't you start?
Thanks. The conversations tonight reminded me, made me even more aware how important our work at CGS is in this country, in the United States. We can be an amazing force for good. The European continent is ahead of us when it comes to ideas of federalism, supranationalism, because of their experience with the EU. And if we can focus our energies on raising consciousness and educating the grassroots in this country and our leadership, but I think it starts really with the grassroots, because if the grassroots is educated, we'll elect the right kinds of leaders and be able to hold their feet to the fire. So it's always been my belief that that's a foundation. If we can commit ourselves to that goal and then collaborate with other organizations who are doing similar things in other parts of the world, we can be a collective force for good. But I think we need to be careful in our eagerness to kind of have a finger in lots of pies, not to dilute our energies, because there's nobody else that can do the work here in this country other than us and organizations like us.
Great, thank you, Soveda. I'm just going to go scan now the live photos, and please keep your comments short. We've got 5 minutes. So I'm just going through my thing here.
Matt McDonough.
Okay, I see Matt. Matt is next, and then Mike Matola. You need to unmute yourself, Matt. You're still muted, Matt.
There we go.
Hi, 5 minutes.
Matt? Okay.
I just wanted to say kudos to everyone on everything that's been done over yesterday and today. Both the technical side. This is our first attempt at doing a Zoom meeting like this, and I think it's going swimming. Outstanding job. People have put in a lot of hard work to make this happen, and the content has just been outstanding. I really see us laying groundwork for things that we can work on and projects that we can work on over the next year. I think this is just a tremendous conference. Kudos to everybody who was involved.
Thank you, Matt. Next, we have Mike Matola in Southern California.
Hello, everybody. I'm listening to the gentleman, I forget his name, on social media last night.
Yes, that was Jerry Tiedelman.
Jerry, yeah. I really appreciated some of the things he said, and it occurred to me it might be good for us to have a couple, maybe one or two taglines for our movement, our organization. Maybe we already do, but particularly what I got from him was the phrase, the tagline, rule of law, not rule of force. And that using that in whatever PR or communications little tagline to our name of our movement, our organization.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Next, we'll hear from Tom Camarella. Tom, unmute yourself.
I think Roger Cotilla was before me, please, and then I'll go.
Okay, I'll get, okay, Roger, are you ready to speak? You need to unmute yourself.
You know, maybe it's a psychologist in me, but setting the date of 2045, what worries me a little bit about that is the concept of, in psychology, of self-fulfilling prophecies. If you study history and the history of revolutions, many times just a small group of people who supposedly were weak and not going anywhere, all of a sudden are in power. It's called a surprise, the unexpected. And I hope we keep that piece of ideology in the back of our minds, because especially because of the internet, I think that we can move much more quickly than in the past. We can communicate worldwide. And then there's this concept in, I'm preparing a talk to some spiritual people of the collective unconscious. And I think there's some chance that the idea of world government can catch on almost overnight. So keep that in mind as we're working on this. I think we're heading in the right direction with the networking and whatnot. Democratic World Federalists will be pushing forward a little more. We're reaching out to the nations already. So this all can be a great help in where we're going. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Roger, and thank you for that clarification. If I wasn't clear yesterday, what we adopted is not to have a World Federation on 2045, but to have it by 2045,
Okay.
which means we would accept tomorrow if it were to happen that way. So
Okay.
just to get that clarity. Thank you
Yeah,
so
well,
much.
because
Yes,
of the,
if you go, I need to move on, Roger.
All
If
right.
you would allow me to do that. Tom Camarella, you're next.
It clarifies me with Trump's wonderful stuff he's been doing. It shows that when William Bennett took out from the schools, civics, it took out people and their education of how the US works and what to do if it doesn't work. And so they got rid of civics, and we have lots and lots of mad people. They're very mad that things aren't working, but they don't know what to do about it. And so it's really important that we find some way to get into the school system, and that we be one of the ways to deal with large governments and things. And so I really, really know that education does make a difference. The lack of it just got us Trump. I'm done.
Okay. Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on, regardless of what your political persuasion is. So we're going to go on to a break, or actually technically an intermission for 20 minutes.